That guy seemed like he was in a bit of a hurry. Time. I would want to talk to you about time. It's an extraordinary thing, far more extraordinary than we can really ever imagine. But let me start at the beginning. 23 years ago, I had an extraordinary moment of insight that completely changed my life. I'd like to share it with you. What I suddenly understood was why and how we seem to be so very different from each other, and how it is that these differences are at the root of so many of our misunderstandings. These differences are reflected in how we communicate with each other, in the words that we use. They are a part of our choices that we make, our preferences. They're at the root of how we work and how we engage with people. I don't know about you, but when I was growing up, I was always being told to use my head, to think before I spoke. Now, you might think I'm about to start talking about personality. I'm not. What I'd like to do is to share with you how it is that I believe that we think, because it is our thinking that is at the root of our differences, not our personalities. Our personalities and our behaviors are the products of our thinking. Descartes wrote, "I think, therefore I am." Personality is like this shiny gift wrapping that we wrap around, and it hides the true gift, our thinking. Now, I don't know about you, but I keep wondering how it is that we can send a spacecraft with extraordinary accuracy, 8 billion kilometers to Saturn, and we can dive to the deepest depths of our oceans, and yet we still do not understand how it is that we are different from each other, and how it is that we can use these differences to be more effective in the world, to collaborate more effectively. In my mid-20s, like so many young people do, I started reading books on psychology. I was trying to understand myself. And I quickly learned that we are taught in the West to understand ourselves, other people, and our world around us by the differences between things. In fact, the science of personality and the science of psychology is, for the most part, a study of individual differences and how each of us is different from some so-called established norm. But I would put it to you that with this point of view that we've developed, without some overarching principle, some framework that gives us some sense of how we belong, without a theory that actually unifies us, where we can understand what these differences are about and how it is that we can use them to help each other, that we are left, well, alone. We're left feeling different. We're left in a place where we're isolated from each other in our thoughts. My insight was that all of these different points of view, all of these differences that we supposedly have, are all actually aspects of one thing, and that is time. Past, present, and future. One unifying phenomena that gives rise to all of our thinking, and within which actually we all play. This idea, this insight, was not new, I found out. In fact, it is actually at the root of some of the greatest teachings in both the Western and Eastern cultures. I probably picked it up somewhere along the way. But at the moment that I got this 23 years ago, I grasped absolutely the significance and the implications of what this truly meant. So this is my take on that ancient wisdom. Maybe it's a version for our modern times. Each of our brains is wired differently, but all of them are motivated by 3 simple priorities: certainty, probability, and possibility. Certainty is what we get from the past. It is the only thing that we can be certain of. We have shared experiences. We learn. We look. We measure. We establish ideas. It is from the past that we create some sense of security of what is and how it works. Without that security, we would be lost. We would be literally locked in fear, like animals constantly awake. And we have possibility that comes to us from the future. The very word possible seems infinite. And it's to the future we look for our solutions to problems. We look here to get new ideas and to combine old ones to create new solutions. It's from the future that we get hope. Hope to try. Hope to overcome what is, to become something better in the future. And it is the present where we take action. It is the only place that we can actually have an effect on our lives. And in this present, we plan for the future. We structure, we organize, we create processes, rules, norms, regulations. All of these serve us to create community, harmony, stability, balance. Because without stability, there is nothing that we can do. We are lost, just as we are lost without certainty, and we are lost without hope. Now, what is amazing is that every single person in the world uses past, present, and future, certainty, probability, and possibility in their thoughts. We blend these three different perspectives of time in order to create our perceptions. Some people have an equal measure of all three. Some people blend two and have less of the third. And others still have only one of these in dominance and the other two much less. Now, I am a future thinker. I use a lot of future thinking in my thinking. I don't have a lot of access to the present or past dimensions. So when I had my insight and I wanted to do something with it, I knew I had to turn to past thinking, the scientists, the experts, the psychologists, to help them help me understand what it is that I had found out. It wasn't easy. From my perspective, they took my great, big, shiny, beautiful insight, and they reduced it down to a series of experiments. They took it to pieces, and not only did they take it to pieces, but they wanted to fit it in to their existing taxonomies, their existing structures, their existing language. It was horrible. And then I dealt with the present thinkers, because in order to actually make this work, I actually had to go to them and say, how can I apply it? And once again, this wasn't easy, because what they did is they took this idea of mine, and all they wanted to do was to apply it to one specific or another specific problem. It felt so alien. And yet, over time, using this very insight, we managed to learn how to work together. We managed to learn how to deeply respect each other's differences. Right here on this stage, we've been hearing amazing ideas. And I put it to you that if we could understand our differences, if we could understand how we think, then we could actually change the way that we work in the world. We could actually change the way we take these ideas from the TED Talks around the world, and we could do something more material, more collaborative with them. I'm reminded of an old saying. It's a very powerful saying that's been used many times before. Most recently was in Margaret Thatcher's memoir film, Iron Lady. But in that particular case, it was used as an admonishment, a warning. And I don't think that was the original intention. This originally came from about 2,500 years ago. It's the oldest reference I can find from Gautama Buddha. And I'm going to paraphrase it because I want to hold that original intention. Watch your thoughts, for your thoughts will become your words. And watch your words, because they will shape your actual behavior. And watch your behavior, because that behavior will become your character. And then observe that character, because it is creating your destiny. If we could just agree on this one thing, that it is to our thinking that we must look to better understand ourselves and each other, we would be so much more understanding, so much more compassionate, so much more collaborative in the world. I believe that everybody here has value to bring. And it is through our thinking that we do that. Thank you.